We've all been there. Your horse girl loses her race, forcing you to use your alarm clocks, only for her to lose again and again, causing you to fail to meet your goal quota, ending her career early. And then you wave away your final goodbye as she shipped away to the nearest glue factory. Well, what if I had an idea? You see, in Umamusume, you have 5 different stats you can use to train your horse girls with. But if you try to master them all, you can strain out your Uma, causing her to lose her races. So with me being an intellectual, I decided instead of spreading my horse girl thin, for the entirety of her career, I would focus on upgrading one stat only. Now that being said out loud, it doesn't sound like much of a challenge, but can you give me a break here? I really just want an excuse to yap about horse girls. Anyway, as for the rules, there's only one this time around, that being I can only upgrade one stat for the entirety of my horse girl's career. So, now with that all being said, my first course of action is to pick a horse girl to train. And after conducting research, I've come to the conclusion that the best pick is Haru Urara. Nah, I'm just kidding, let her eat her grass in peace. She can even have my share because I sure as hell ain't touching it. But for this challenge, I'll be going with the brawny of Uma Musume, Sakura Bakushin O. And if you're addicted to this game like me, then you already know where this is heading. But now I get to choose my 2 legacy horses that give me additional buffs during my run. So I choose Agnes Tachyon for speed, and Special Week for more speed. They also have good power buffs, so good enough for me. Now onto the skill cards. And while I don't have Kitasan Black myself, mainly because I'm saving my carrots for something your little minds couldn't even begin to comprehend, luckily you can bum cards off other people. So thank you, person I'm following, for allowing me to bum. As for my other cards, yeah, I don't have good cards. Again, I'm saving for important matters, but luckily all I need are speed cards, regardless of rarity. So with the setup ready, I can now start the challenge. Now the first goal is just to make my debut, so no pressure yet. And with 11 days to train, I start my journey of only training her speed. Now I should say that by training her speed, her power will also grow by a little bit. But if you remember, I just said I was upgrading one stat. It just so happens that the stat I'm training also trains another stat as well. Plus throughout the challenge, her other stats will grow no matter what, so unless there's a mod out there that can stop this, I'll be forced to deal with it for now. But anyway, other than her training, I have to keep her energy in check as well as I have to keep her happy. Because let's say hypothetically, she injures herself right before her debut, causing her mood to drop. That would be kinda bad, I say with a big toothy grin on my face. And on the day of her race, I teach her straight away Adept. Mainly because it sounds good, plus I won't be training her wit, so I won't be getting a lot of points to use on skills anyway. If you couldn't tell yet, I'm just kinda guessing on a lot of this stuff, but what I do know is that for this challenge, Bakushin will be a front runner instead of a pace chaser, so that way she can show off her speed. And speaking of speed, she tears through her debut race, keeping first place the entire time. Now with only 8 more days to train, she has to place top 5 in her next race. So other than confirming the fact that no, I'm not a cryptid, and having her sing her heart out like Kiryu Kazuma, I really only get her speed up the D+ tier before the race. And speaking of the race, it's a lot closer than before, because at the final corner, Biwa Hayahide passes her, taking over first place. Then at the last second, Bakushin pulls ahead, taking first place yet again. My goat cannot stop winning. And after this followed another 8 days of training. Nothing really happened other than watching my icon clean the floor and whatever this is, but I guess whatever it was did work, because I unlocked the final level of speed training after, where Bakushin catches a volleyball, so yippee. But what's not yippee is my next race, because I was up against Mihono Bourbon, so the entire race I was tailing behind her, and if it wasn't for Bakushin popping her ult when she did, she would have also gotten passed by El Condor Pasa too. So my goat may have taken a bruised ego in that race, but second place still qualifies me for the rest of my run. It just better not happen again, or somebody is going to be used in a first grader's arts and crafts project. But after not threatening my horse girl to win the next race, she gets inspired by my legacy Umas and her stats increase. See, the glue factory comments work well, guys, but this also works out well because I had 3 days to train after my last race, so I was able to get her to C+ speed before this one. And that really helped out, because even though she got rushed in the beginning, once she took the lead, she kept it for the entire race. And even in the last turn, she broke away from the pack, leaving them in the dust. Now the next goal is Bakshin's first G1 race. I know nothing about horse racing other than what this game has taught me, but I assume it's an important race because I approximately need 84 more fans to even race in it. So before I worry about that, I get to witness the obligatory anime beach scene, where I get my first friendship training session with Kita-san Black. And what makes this even better is that in real life, their grandfather and grandson. Yeah, the family tree for this game is crazy. But after that, I run one extra race for the fans I need for the G1. And even though Bakshin got a late start, putting her behind Ines Fujin for the beginning of the race, once she takes over, Bakshin stays in first for the rest of the race. And I enter my first G1 with B rank speed. Now every horse girl in this game has a rival of sorts, Bakshin's being this tiny ass little creature named Nishino Flower. So on top of placing top 3 in this race, my own personal mission is to beat this tiny ass little gremlin. So Bakshin starts out strong, then somehow manages to get passed by one of the randomly generated NPC horses, causing her to pop her ult at the corner, managing to take back the lead. And then when the little gremlin makes her move, Bakshin speeds up more for her 5th win so far, and her first G1 win so far. Anyway, the next training cycle is 11 days, so during this time, I do what I do best. I watch my horsey catch a volleyball. Also, my game crashes because I forgot to stop Woowa from downloading before recording, so whoopsie daisies. Luckily, the game saved your progress, so I was able to see Bakshin and her massive forehead yet again, just in time for her next G1 race. And this is where I finally achieve A+ speed. So starting off, Bakshin takes the lead as usual, that is until Maruzinski starts to fight her for first place. Then she pops her ult, and from there she maintains her first place until the finish line, winning another G1. Now at this point things start to change, because Bakshin will start running longer races, meaning I have to start back at G3. But another thing that changes is the fact that I have to come in first place no matter what on these upcoming races. So after getting inspirited again, it's off to the racetracks yet again. This time I finally had S tier speed, and it really showed because for the entire race, Bakshin was in first with a large gap between her and her competitors. The only one that was close enough to close the gap was Biwa Hayahide, but when she got too close, Bakshin popped her ult and ran ahead in the first place. Now with 4 wins in a row, you might be asking how is this challenge hard, and well, listen, the only other challenge I could think of was to build Gold Ship as a front runner, but that thing honestly scares me, like I don't want to train it. Horse girl crisis over. Anyway, I'm at the point in the run where I have less days to train. I know this because my next race is right now. And this one was kind of boring because Bakshin really didn't have a rival this race. She just stayed unchallenged in the #1 spot for the entire race. But then in the very next race, Maruzinski tries to take over her lead again near the end of the race, but just like last time, Bakshin popped her ult, and once she turned the corner, she leaves Maruzinski in the dust for another win. Now I only need her to win 2 more G1 races to finish her goals. The first G1 was easy enough. Bakshin didn't wander too far away from the pack until the very end where the little gremlin tried to catch up to her, but she couldn't. So after this, for the final G1, I managed to get her speed into the SS tier as a final reward. Now in the next race, Bakshin was battling against Silent Suzuka and Agnes Fujin for first place in the beginning of the race until she settled in the 3rd place, until the final corner of the race where Professor of Curvature pops, followed by her ult, and then finally Shooting Star, causing her to pass both Silent Suzuka and Agnes Fujin for the final G1 win of her career. And with that, Bakshin achieved all her goals for this run. But there's still the URA finals to worry about. So first up is the qualifier race. And really the only thing that happened is that once she passed Agnes Fujin, she uses her ult and carries on in first until the end of the race. So now I get to go to semifinals. Yippee. And this was probably the closest race in the game by far, because while Bakshin was fighting against Maruzinski for first, a random NPC horse girl took second from her. And if she didn't pop Shooting Star, she would have most likely lost to both Maruzinski and Variable Sight, someone's epic OC Uma. But enough bashing the random NPC Uma, let's see if I can pull off this extremely simple challenge with a final speed total of 1,194. Now even though she was tailing mine and Top Gun this entire race, my main concern was on Mihono Bourbon, because if it wasn't for her, I would have won all my previous races in this challenge. My other main concern was that she used her ult too early and got repassed by Top Gun going into the home stretch. That was until Top Gun started to slow down, leading for Boxing to swoop in and take the lead to win the URA finals, for a career total of 15 races and 14 wins. Now if you couldn't tell, this wasn't my first time doing this strategy with Boxing. You can tell because I failed to mention the absolute peak idle performances. But this was my first ever run completing the URA finals without ever using an alarm clock to reset the day, so I'll count it as a personal win. Also, this run also became my best ever Boxing run, so far that is, so who knows, maybe if this video does good in the YouTube algorithm, I'll make more challenges on the funny horse girl game. But until then, subscribe so I can gamble for better support cards, but most importantly, just remember to have a fantastic day.